afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Breaking the News. A little late this week for reasons I'll explain in a second. I'm Julie Roginsky here with Michelle Kinney and Jeff Jarvis. Good to see everybody. I am so sorry that we're not doing this at our usual time. It is my fault. My son had his middle school graduation this morning, so I had to go to that. And so therefore, we are a little late, but I am in my newly painted office that Michelle Kinney came over yesterday and transformed into a beautiful office. So Michelle, you're the best. Thank you.
I love the earth tone of it. Yes.
There's no limit to Michelle Kinney's talent. She took me over to the paint store. We bought a whole bunch of stuff.
What's the name of that color?
I don't know, but Michelle picked it out. And
I can tell. I have the little strip. Actually, it's on the can of paint too. If it's still sitting there, it should have the number, the Benjamin Moore number.
You see, yeah. I have this theory that there are certain colors like mauve that don't actually exist. They're only used to torture people like me.
This is like a slatey gray with a blue undertone that it almost looks purple in some light.
Yep, and brown too.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's fantastic. Thank you, Michelle. I can't wear glasses.
Enough for that.
Enough of
home network interval.
Yes, we could certainly do a home network interval, but
now back to the world and destruction.
Back to the world. So, you guys, I want to talk about 60 Minutes, our favorite topic again.
By the way, we would love to get off this topic. We would love for the things not to be happening here, but every damn week we got stuff to talk about.
Something. It's absurd.
Yes.
I don't know how I feel. I do know how I feel, but I'd love to hear other people's thoughts of how they feel. So, as we know, there was a bloodbath at 60 Minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They fired Scott Pelley, who stood up for himself, for his team, did an incredible interview with the New York Times that I recommend people watch and read if they haven't already. Really fascinating interview where he just, says the truth, which is that there was political interference at 60 Minutes, that Barry Weiss has no effing clue what she's doing, that they have been hijacked, that they got rid of Tanya Simon, the executive producer of 60 and her whole team, and fundamentally decided that they were going to transform the entire show by putting in somebody, Nick Bilton, we talked about this last week, who's totally unqualified, has never worked in television, and would know his way around a TV newsroom if you gave him $1 billion. Much like Barry Weiss, who does not own a TV, as Michelle always points out. And after that happened, look, first you had Anderson Cooper, who left on his own volition. And I think one of the reasons it seems that Tanya Simon, the head of 60 Minutes, got fired is that she allowed Anderson Cooper to say what he said as his last parting word.
Which was pretty mild.
Which was basically like, I hope this remains the independent, wonderful news program that it has been since the Mike Wallace days. Apparently that was too much for Barry Weiss and her incredibly thin skin.
So Tanya Simon and the producers who enabled that to go on all were
the most fragile people.
Yeah, and what you said about Tanya Simon is that and I think this is the part that really got me. And if you just allow me a moment of personal privilege here. So I know Tanya Simon. I don't know her professionally. I know her personally. She is truly one of the most lovely people around. Like there's no guile to her. She's just a great person. I don't know what she's like to work for. I obviously never worked with her. But by all accounts, she was beloved at 60 Minutes. And the one thing Scott Pelley also said is that she lived and breathed 60 Minutes in her blood because her father was the legendary Bob Simon, and that's not reason to keep her there. I mean, she should have been there of her own.
It's reason enough to respect her.
But it's reason enough to respect her, and not just because her father was Bob Simon, but also because she is devoted. She's never worked anywhere but 60 Minutes. Right. She got there when she was 22 years old. She graduated from Columbia. She got there at 22, and she stayed there, and now she is in her 50s. So she's been there for 30 years. And the fact is that she was told to pack her shit and go by 5 p.m., according to Scott Pelley. I mean, it is like as though she was a criminal, like she all but got escorted out, which is astonishing, an astonishing way to treat somebody who gave her career to 60 Minutes, whose father gave his career to 60 Minutes, who was in war zones all the time. As Scott Pelley pointed out, she did not know growing up whether her father was going to be alive or dead.
Mm-hmm.
And because of all the things that he did for 60 Minutes and for CBS News as a war correspondent. I know her mother, who is also a lovely woman, who's Bob Simon's widow. Her mother is French and in her own right, just an astonishingly smart woman who followed her husband on all of his assignments. And so Tanya, basically had her parents work for CBS News, either directly or had her mother follow her father places. I mean, Bob Simon, as you remember, was captured, I believe in Beirut, and they did not know whether he was going to live or die, and he was a hostage. So to treat this family this way, I think, is just reprehensible. And I say that again from a personal perspective as somebody who truly, she's just a wonderful person. I don't know what else to say. But even moving on from that, she's gone. The person that produced Anderson Cooper's Farewell is gone. Cecilia Vega is gone, the first Latina, and not that this should be a DI thing, but she was also incredibly capable, but the first Latina correspondent for 60 Minutes. Sharon Alfonsi is gone. Why? Because Sharon Alfonsi did not cave in to Barry Weiss on the Seacott story, which is an amazing story, and had the Streisand effect of having more people pay attention to it because Barry Weiss tried to kill it. So over and over.
Plus, if I may add, his name will come up later, Dragan Mikhailovich, the
yes,
executive editor of the show, also gone.
Yeah. So, ultimately, I think what we're dealing with here, unfortunately, is a situation where you just have people coming in who don't know the first thing about what they're doing and getting rid of the people who do. In light of that, and of course, Scott Pelley then was fired for speaking up for the team. In light of that, Leslie Stahl and John Wertheim and who else? Bill Whitaker had a decision to make. And the decision was, do we stay or do we go? They decided to stay. Leslie Stahl inked a 2-year deal, which I thought was interesting.
Awful. She held a champagne toast over the graves of her colleagues.
Yeah. And what I did not understand was
Michelle's giving us a credulous look.
Wait, did she actually? I mean, yes. Are you saying that?
That is literal. Yes, she held a champagne toast.
And her to give her a excuse or to put her perspective into this. Basically, somebody has to keep 60 going. Somebody has to keep these people accountable. If we leave, they're going to just replace us with a bunch of Joe Rogan lights, or maybe even Joe Rogan himself.
It's going to happen anyway.
These are journalists who should know better. They are quislings.
This is like normal people going to work for, and I say normal if you're listening, not watching, in quotes, air quotes, like people who went to go work for the Trump administration, being like, well, there's somebody's, grown-ups got to be here. I just like, it's an inevitable, downfall. And it's, I just, and of all people, Leslie Stahl, I don't know what her financial situation, I can imagine it's probably pretty good. She's somebody who could have afforded to walk away.
She's 84 years old.
Something else.
I think the problem with people like Leslie Stahl is if she didn't do this, she doesn't know what else she would be doing. Then she'd have to face.
But you think at 84 she'd be thinking about her legacy, and she's just besmirched it. The one thing that I thought the Pelley interview of the Times was spectacular. He's a hero, but there was one moment in it that really struck me when he, with great credulity, said, "Oh, I met Ellison, and he was really nice, and he promised us independence, and I thought it was going to be better." Now, that's partly a commentary on how awful Sherry Redstone was,
right?
Who drove out prior people from 60 Minutes, but it was still naive and credulous in a way that I would not think that a journalist would be. Similarly, for Leslie Stahl to say, "Oh, well, they guarantee us we're independent." Well, they guaranteed it before. Look what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick Bilton's in there with some kid, 24-year-old kid in his Doge, ready to steamroll. And Leslie Stahl, you should know better. You're a journalist. You should bring the same kind of skepticism that you should bring to your journalism, your reporting, to your own career, and you didn't. I was shocked, just absolutely shocked that the three of them stayed in such terms as to say, it's like the ego of saying, well, we're going to, against this force of fascism, but we're going to rescue the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
Oh, it's just, I was very disappointed in that. And so they're going to give, what they're really going to do is they're going to give a veil of legitimacy to this terribly illegitimate takeover
Right.
of this institution.
I think
And
that oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was
I
done.
mean, no, I think that, and I mentioned this maybe here a couple weeks ago. This sort of era that we're living in where everyone's playing house and it's Donald Trump being handed a Purple Heart and being like, oh, I've always wanted one of these. And it's a parade of terribly, horribly unqualified people who again are just playing house in these roles that they're in. And this is across the board in government and now in media. And just because you've stepped into this place, just because you stepped into this role doesn't mean that you belong there or that you're producing or creating anything that's credible or worthy. And it's hard to even find the words of just how awful it is and how scary it is to think that people are going to watch it and consume this information not knowing the difference. And I guess that's the point of people like the Ellisons and others that are trying to create this sort of state media conglomerate. And it's just, and this is, I think about this on the heels of Elon Musk becoming the first trillionaire today. It's really a scary time. And it's also just kind of like, ugh, like you just unworthy, like mediocre people who are so undeserving, like these D students, trying to play with the A+ students. And it's just like, stop trying to make fetch happen. You know what I mean? It's just, I can't. Anyways, it's just infuriating.
Yeah, and I think you're right, Michelle, that on this day of Musk as trillionaire, it is the ultimate extension of our Gilded Age, far worse than the
Yeah.
earlier Gilded Age.
Yeah.
And you think about it, it's been, speaking of credulity, this was built on government subsidies, our tax dollars, to enable his rockets to go up, which in turn subsidized his satellite internet, and tax subsidies that in turn subsidized his cars. And then he comes in with Doge to destroy these institutions, the lack of respect for these institutions. And I think we will all say, all these institutions need to change. We are progressives. We want them to progress. We want them to change. We want them to develop. We're not conservatives who want to hold on to them. But yeah, it's terrible to watch. And then I think Oliver Darcy, as usual, is doing good reporting on this. Brian Stelter, who I saw at an event in New Jersey the other night, he had kind of written, well, give Nick Bilton credit for trying to take people out and trying to calm things down. No, I don't give him credit for anything.
What?
He, they did appoint Maria Gavilovich as a producer, so that was going to calm some nerves. But then again, he hired some kid to come in and consultant because he doesn't know jack about TV or management. It's awful. In the meantime, one more little hiring today, let me find it here for 1 second, is, shoot, I had it. Here we go. So Barry Weiss just hired Trevor Phillips to be chief international correspondent, basically. Now, Trevor Phillips comes from Sky. He was suspended from the Labor Party for Islamophobia allegations back in 2020. This is who she hires.
Listen, let's be very clear. And I say this as somebody who's a Zionist. So if you want to come at me in the chat, please do. There should be no litmus test in journalism for where reporters stand on any issue except the truth. Barry Weiss's litmus test is, where are they on Israel? Where are they? And it's wrong. It's wrong. And if the litmus test
shouldn't matter one way or the other.
If she were pro-Palestinian, it would be just as wrong. And but she's she's not, I mean, she calls herself a Zionist. I don't think she is. I think she's a Kahanist, which is a whole different situation. When she got rid of Cecilia Vega, apparently because Cecilia Vega was working on a profile of Francesca Albanese, who's the UN rapporteur on the Palestinian issue, and a lot of the Israelis can't stand her. And
she also got rid of Claire Day in London,
right,
for how she covered Gaza.
Right.
Oh my God.
And like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it's not American patriotism that's at work here.
No.
And I want to be really careful here.
Even if it were, that'd be wrong.
Right, exactly. But it's a slavish loyalty to the Netanyahu administration, and not to Israel, to the politics of Netanyahu,
To the Netanyahu.
not to the Jewish
Exactly.
culture, not to the Jewish nation, to Netanyahu.
Exactly.
Because Netanyahu has been worse for Jews and for Israel than, and I mean, he's been so bad for Jews and Israel that if you support him, you oppose Jews and Israel. I just want to be very clear right now. He has done more to harm both the cause of Israel and more to harm diaspora Jews all over the world than anybody else. I say that as a, so, to have this kind of crazy, but it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter if she loves Netanyahu or she hates Netanyahu. Hiring somebody based on their allegiance to your ideology is wrong. It's wrong. That is not what doing the news at your favor is. If you want to start a Substack like the rest of us, or you want to keep writing for the New York.
Well, she has a Substack.
I know, the free press.
But if you want to call her Substack,
ironically.
I love her Substack was founded on the premise of free speech and
Heterodox belief.
Yeah, but the point is, like, what free speech? You're shutting people down because they don't agree with you. Nothing to do with free speech. And that's the part that I think is just so disappointing about all of this. And she is destroying CBS. She's going to start destroying CNN soon. If I'm at CNN, like, I got to wonder what the hell I'm doing with my life. What's Anderson Cooper going to do?
Right. And didn't you guys said that he had a contract? That's like a multi-year contract.
He's got a multi-year contract, but Scott Pelley's contract wasn't up till 27.
Right.
The question is, does Anderson Cooper get out of that contract if she takes over? Does Anderson Cooper get fired for saying what he said on 60 Minutes? Like, is she biding her time for vengeance? I think Erin Burnett, who's the best person at CNN, I think her days are numbered. So, and Abby Phillip will be fine because she's giving Scott Jennings all the airtime in the world. So, she'll be okay. But
well, in a way, didn't the CBS free up Scott Pelley by firing him for cause? He was not getting any money. He had no obligation to them anymore. He was fired. No more money, no more nothing to hold over his head. So he was free to speak to the Times.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what his contract said. Maybe it was a non-compete.
But they voided the contract because he was fired for cause. It's gone. There's no contract. There's no.
Okay.
You can only shut up someone if you pay them for it.
Not necessarily. But yeah. Depends.
There's someone, Eric Alarcon, apologies if I'm not pronouncing your last name, said CNN will become another Fox News. And the thing about that, and we've talked about that at length here, is that there already is a Fox News. So CNN even trying to be some sort of flavor or Fox News light that's not a winning strategy here at all, because if people want to watch Fox News, they'll just go watch Fox News. Like, why would you watch?
Nobody's going to leave Fox. People are so obsessed with Fox News that they have a little.
So it's very cultish.
Fox thing literally burns a hole in their old.
Well, that's why they had to make the moving.
Make the moving
logo.
thing. So I say this to say that if you watch Fox News, why in the world would you change the channel? Unless Donald Trump tells you to change the channel. That's the only time that Fox lost viewers is when Trump went negative on them after the 2020 election.
Yep. That's why you get that dopamine hit all day long from them. Ooh, these people say the things I love all day. Why would you turn away?
We had one Fox News before, but now we have a whole network of state media. We have the Washington Post, which is basically turned into state media as well. We have Sinclair and what Sinclair is going to buy. And so local television across the nation becomes similarly. It's not Fox News redux. It's an extension of the state media.
Yep.
And so CBS and soon CNN are extensions of state media. And by the way, we want to talk past news on this show. And so we haven't begun to imagine what Ellison is going to do with the entertainment side of
It scares me.
Paramount.
It scares me.
And the propaganda that can emerge there and what's not going to be made there.
And Warner Brothers, don't forget.
And right, the whole empire now.
Scares me. And
what's going to be shown and not.
Well, and in the entertainment space, I mean, obviously I am far gone from the business as an actor, so I can only really comment on just what I hear from my friends who are writers and actors, and that's both on television and in theater. And I can say, if anybody watched the Tonys last weekend, incredible actually broadcast. Pink was the host, huge numbers, viewing numbers. But there was a dip in like ticket sales like the next week. It's just, you know what I mean? I'm very like that. I hate to say there's like an oligarchy just everywhere, but there is like the power that producers have even just on Broadway. The amount of money that it takes to put on a show is exorbitant, and it is basically a zero ROI. Like it takes way too much to get your money back. So people just don't want to do it. And then you look at, what it takes to greenlight a film or a television show on any given network that is risky or that says anything or that is meaningful in any way. And I saw something with this guy who worked at Netflix. I saw an article today that was, he apparently greenlights more films than like any other person, but he wants more rom-coms and he wants more, get back to like the bread and butter of what film was. And I guess I agree to an extent, because I mean, I love a rom-com, a good rom-com.
Where is I was going to say, where is All in the Family, though? I more and more subscribe to the theory that All in the Family actually opened the door for Donald Trump. Because it made cuddly a racist, right?
Right.
And I think that's a problem. But
Malcolm
we've talked
Gladwell
about
did
it
a
here
whole thing
before
on
about
that.
other shows that made gay marriage possible. And Norman Lear, his heart and soul were only in the right place.
course. Yeah.
But I think that we can see the power that entertainment has had in the past. I'm going to say something right now that many people out there will hate. Blame me, not them. Them pointing the other way. Which is one thing that gives me odd hope here. Watch out. If I were at a university, I get booed right now, is AI. To this extent, a film is being competing at the Tribeca Film Festival on Iran. It was made entirely by AI. And I've seen the trailer, and it's very good, very compelling. And the filmmakers said that they couldn't have made the film with real people because it would put them in mortal danger. But still able to tell their stories, A. B, for a fraction of the cost. A fraction. I'm not suggesting that all Hollywood become AI. I'm not suggesting that at all. But if you think about this tool that now ends up in the hands of anyone who has a story to tell and wants to tell that, and can do so at a lower cost, and you have the tool of YouTube, hello YouTubers, where they can gain an audience without the need to go through the gauntlet of Hollywood, without having to go through the agentry, and then the executives like the Ellisons.
Right.
That's a potential for, it's not, mass media, I keep on saying here, is dead. The scale that we thought we had was never really there in the first place, but it's certainly not there now. But we have the opportunity for I think, more subversive media and creativity to come in to go around the Ellisons and the Warner Brothers and such.
I mean, I talk about them all the time, but look no further than Heated Rivalry, who got talked to shows about show here in the States and told, okay, well, you can do this, but you can't have them kiss until the fourth episode, and it can't be too much and whatever. And obviously, if anyone here has seen Heated Rivalry, you know that the final product is far surpasses that. But it was a Canadian streaming platform that put it out. It wasn't until the very, very last minute that HBO picked it up. And they were able to tell this really amazing story about two gay hockey players that, one of which is Russian. And, it's not the kind of compelling storytelling that any of these studios or streaming platforms would have taken a chance on in the United States. They just would not have. And for that reason, thank God, we all got to experience the real story that, Jacob Tierney took the books, obviously, and made this great television series. And, the same thing when I saw one of my favorite shows on Netflix, the food travel show that Phil Rosenthal does, Somebody Feed Phil, is going to Netflix next year. Oh, I don't know what happened to Julie. But it's going to, she'll be back in 3 minutes, she said. When that went to Netflix, when it went from Netflix to YouTube, I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So it's happening. This is happening. Because that's a hugely successful television show on Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah. But I also think that you don't, YouTube's bigger than Netflix. Now that's a somewhat meaningless observation because
You mean like
again,
an audience and reach?
total viewership, total
Yeah.
viewing time. I believe that's what the stat is. But it doesn't matter. I mean, our sense of mass media from the past skews our definition of big, right? We think if this is a trending topic, if this is a best-selling book, it must be the zeitgeist. No,
Right.
it's less than 1% of the country read it, far less, right? It's a fraction of a percent.
Yep.
If it's a top show, it's maybe 3% of the country. If it's trending on Twitter back when Twitter was Twitter, it still was only for a flash of a moment
Right.
going to a very small part of a small audience
Right.
in total. So it was mass media was never mass. It was never as big as we thought it was.
Yeah.
And so if we can readjust our sense of what success is and what matters, then an independent person coming along, making something creative, using whatever tools are available, and getting an audience based on merit, not connections, on YouTube becomes very exciting. Now YouTube's
Yeah.
filled with all kinds of slop now.
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah.
It's awful. I'll see not for fiction. I'll see something about a history of Campbell's soup. I think, oh, that's interesting for a few minutes.
Right.
And it's some horrible script written, and then it's some horrible voice coming in,
Right.
and photos, and it's all wrong, and it's
Right,
screwed
right.
up.
That's
And-
where AI is bad because there's a lot of the
Yeah.
AI produced stuff that's like an AI voiceover, the AI,
Yep.
it's AI tools, and to your point, it's wrong, and
Yeah,
that's
and-
where that's the scary thing about AI as well. Like, aside from like taking jobs away from people, is that the fact that they're feeding incorrect information to people
right.
by the masses.
Right. So I'm not trying to make sure here for the record. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to suggest that I want to fill the world with AI. It's already getting full
Right.
of AI.
Right.
But I see a glimmer of hope here of taking away from those costs. Now, if you want to produce a Broadway play, you're still in person.
Right.
You still got the cost of the theater. You got all that.
Well,
That's going to be hard.
They tried back in the day. It must have been, oh my gosh, 20-ish, maybe more years ago. And I think it started with Contact. It was a musical. It was all dancing to pre-recorded music. And the musicians union kind of like had a fit because they were like, oh, we don't have to pay all these musicians. We can just use pre-recorded music. And I mean, it was a big uproar for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And they won, and this is why we have pits of orchestra now, and it's great. But they tried; they really tried it.
So I want to go back to what you said about today's date when we're recording this, the Musk Day. And this is going to be, this is very show off. What you mean? I read an interesting essay in Die Zeit the other day, the German newspaper, that said we have to redefine progress. And as us as progressives here, it goes back to the Industrial Revolution, and notes well that a lot of the progressive movement came out in reaction to the Industrial Revolution and its sins against workers and such. The 8-hour day came out at that time. The linotype, subject of my book, hot type, on sale now.
Can we buy that in the store? Is it? Can
Not
I,
yet.
can
No,
I
you
order
can
it online?
pre-order. You can pre-order.
Okay.
Go to jeffjarvis.com. Anyway,
Right.
sorry,
I
I'll always
will.
be
I
selling.
will.
The printers brought about the 8-hour day because of technology, and they recognized the need for it. The welfare state came out of that. So what this author said, I think his name is Diaz, is that today progress is being defined by the technologists. Oh, we're going to, chest thumping. We're going to build artificial general intelligence, and we're going to colonize Mars, and we're going to get rid of all work. And we'll pay you some money to have you shut up. Though, interestingly, the Pope in his encyclical was opposed to universal income because he said work has dignity in people's lives. So we need to recognize technology exists. We need to recognize what its effects are, as happened in the Industrial Revolution. But we then need to redefine progress and progressive in this context. And we have to take that back. The humanities have to take that back from the technologists and from private equity and from those people.
Private equity is a whole nother, when you really start to realize how much private equity has a role in what we're consuming, especially in entertainment. I mean, the fact that when I found out that private equity was buying up these catalogs of music, and then this is why all these biopics of musicians were starting to be made. I was like, what? How cynical.
Just like they're buying up people's homes. So you have to write them back.
I'm like, it's just so cynical. It's like, how do you even enjoy anything? And like how you enjoy things is, fortunately / unfortunately, is the progression to like independent media and like knowing that, you know, it's coming from somewhere that's a little more authentic and real. And welcome back, Julie. Hello.
Hello.
But you know, it's the AI part of this too. And I guess to acknowledge it as part, it's a tool, to your point, Jeff. It's a tool in a you know, in a vast sea of lots of different things that we can be doing. You know, but my fear is that, and I'm sure all of our fear is that it is leaned on way too much for something that's so unpredictable and not reliable also. You know what I mean?
Well, so this is a different topic from my other podcasts about AI. I think this notion of artificial general intelligence is complete bullshit. It is same as I think that this notion of doom, existential doom from AI, is complete bullshit. It's a form of marketing. It's just a tool. And from my studying of tools for my books and technology, what I see is that eventually the tool becomes commonplace. It gets used by people for their own ends. The technologists and the technology fades into the background. It happened with printing. It happened with electricity, with steam, and it will happen even with AI. And it'll be a tool that people can choose how to use. But we need the agency and the voice to say what is a good use and a bad use, and what are the limits of how it's used. And we should not trust the technologists to think. Anthropic came out with this thing this week. Well, you've got to pause all development. Well, that's after they have their IPO and they pull their ladder up and they get all their money. They say, well, nobody else should catch up with us. No, it's not their job. It's the job of humanists. And policymakers and academics and citizens.
Policymakers who aren't bought out by tech.
But here's the problem, and this is the part that I think concerns me, at least, without knowing much about AI, but enough to have developed an AI tool for good for my nonprofit. The problem with broad-based AI, whether it's ChatGPT or any of these other Anthropic for that matter too, is they take what they're programmed to take from different sources, right? And if you look at ChatGPT, they take a lot from Reuters. They take a lot, like if you're like, write me, you know, I don't know, tell me what Donald Trump did this week. They will tell you, they will take a lot from Reuters. They will take a lot from the non-paywall stuff. And so if I am somebody who's thinking long-term about how to manipulate these tools, I don't paywall any of my stuff. I put a whole bunch of right-wing bullshit up there and overwhelm these programs. And then, of course, if you're Elon Musk or any of these other people, you could, of course, program your AI tool to look at certain sources more than others. Next thing you know, people believe, because they will be using AI more and more and more and more. It's like Wikipedia, right? Like Wikipedia, I don't know about anybody else's Wikipedia. Like Wikipedia for years said stuff about me that was just factually inaccurate. I don't know where they got it, but it was inaccurate. And therefore, I remember speaking at certain places and they would just take my bio off of Wikipedia and they would introduce me. And I was like, okay, I know you took that from Wikipedia because it's wrong. But after a while, I can't correct everywhere I go. So that's my concern about AI, is that things will become factually incorrect. Facts will become not facts anymore. They'll be replaced by subjective bullshit. And that's the part that really worries me, because if we think we're being deluged right now by right-wing shit on the internet, just imagine what's going to happen when they get their hands on AI. And unfortunately, the people who are creating AI programs right now, whether it's Elon Musk or others, are the worst of them. Are the worst people. I mean, Elon Musk is the worst person. He just became the world's first trillionaire today. I mean, think about what you can do with that money to manipulate people. What
does it say about the values in our society that's made possible? And he's not going to be taxed to holy hell. And he's never going to turn into a Carnegie, who out of guilt supported libraries, or Rockefeller or Vanderbilt or others who in the Gilded Age decided that they had to support entities out of the wealth that they came to. He's never going to do that. He thinks he's going to populate the world and the universe and go to Mars.
Yeah, and I think what's scary about all this is we don't have the imagination that these guys do. They have thought this through in ways that we are now just catching up to. And much like Project 2025, right?
Yeah, okay.
Democrats are sitting there putting out policy papers. These people picked who they're going to stock the cabinet with, who they're going to stock federal government with. They did it.
Sane people would have said, "Oh, we can't get away with that."
Yeah.
Insane people got away with it.
And they get away with it. We sit around, as I keep saying, writing policy papers when it's too late. Oh, how do we address this crisis? They think about how to create the crisis. That's what I'm saying. There's a
navel gazing
all the time. We have a massive failure of imagination. That side doesn't. They decided. I mean, could you imagine a Democrat ever doing, or Democratic president ever doing to News Corp what was just done to CBS by the Republicans?
I can imagine it in my dreams.
Well, but that's my point. Can you imagine going to Disney to any of these places and saying, if you do one thing that we don't like, we are going to shut down any mergers, any acquisitions. We're going to Fox News. We're going to pull the stations groups. I don't know if Fox still owns the stations groups or whether it was sold to Disney. But Rupert Murdoch, we are going to make your life a living hell unless you fire your entire primetime lineup and replace them with people that we want. We couldn't do that. My God, First Amendment, we don't have the right to do that. And to this day, when Democrats come back, oh, no, we have to go back to normal. We have to restore the First Amendment. Friends, these days are gone. I mean, I'm sorry.
I mean, I want to just say something. First of all, I don't know if you guys have seen the blow up doll of Elon Musk in Times Square right now. It's fantastic.
You can't get this visual out of your head now. Thank you very much, Michelle.
Yep, there it is. SpaceX Grok makes AI child porn. I mean, God bless. But I think the thing about Elon Musk especially, and even Mark Zuckerberg, like all of them, like they're creative sort of, but it's more like Elon Musk, from everything I've heard about him, is like he's a good facilitator. He's not an ideas guy. He's not. He's very good at scooping up a bunch of really, really, really smart people who are much smarter than he is, and taking their brain power and making money off of it, and doing it off the back.
Using our tax dollars to do that along the way.
He is like America's #1 welfare queen. I made an ad last year for Seneca Project called Welfare Queen, and it was all about how he has gotten rich off the backs of the American taxpayer. And like, again, like this is a winning message. I don't understand where the Democrats are not saying this literally every single day. Like he's a trillionaire because of us, without our control. We had no say in it. And now he's the richest man in the world times, I don't know how many of the next person down, how much money they have. But, and again, like, oh my God, like this whole, like, we're going to Mars thing. I'm like, please stop. This is all daddy issues, the Mars stuff, because he was named after some character in some sci-fi book that was written by a Nazi. And it was called like the Elon, and it was about colonizing Mars. And like his dad doesn't love it. Like, this is just daddy issues. Like all these people are nuts. And they're evil. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg's whole thing was, move fast and break things. And this is exactly what they've done to the whole world. And there's just more of us. And yes, they have more money, but like collectively, there are just so many more of us. And I'm not saying
we have to recognize the power we can have.
Yes.
I think we have to ridicule the Ellisons for the pig in the poke they bought with Paramount and then Warner Brothers. Fine, you bought a dying institution. It's going away. Have fun. It doesn't matter. It was nice that 60 Minutes lasted as long as it did, but it's dead. And Leslie Stahl, I sit Shiva for you. You're professionally. You are dead to me. I'm not going to trust anything you do on the show anymore because you've shown your judgment. So that's it. And you brought along your two colleagues with you because you were the senior member of that. By the way, I got to sneak this in here. The other thing that just appalled me, I don't know if you know him or like him, but I cannot stand, I'm going to get to the name in a second. I cannot bear Scott Galloway. This whole masculine stuff of he knows best he's creepy about how he talks.
Do you want to know what I think about this?
I can't wait for 1 second. I want to add one little factoid, then we're going to get to this. So he was bragging that CBS came to him to make him into the new Andy Rooney. And no, he turned them down. Well, A, it's so Galloway to brag about that. And B, it's so CBS to think that he's someone to listen to. And it just said everything to me about the tacky shits who are running this now. Sorry, now, Michelle.
Well, TBS actually denied that they approached him and said,
Oh, they did. Oh, that too. Oh, I didn't see that
Yes,
half of the
they
story.
denied that they approached him and said that he pitched to them, but Scott Galloway is saying that he went. I'm like, oh
That's
my
perfect,
God.
Galloway. Perfect,
Yeah,
Galloway.
Sometimes he says things that I'm like, okay, that's good, and he says it in a way that's like very like confident, and he's obviously a very, very smart man and thoughtful in some ways, but the way that he frames this masculinity crisis
Right.
and the lack of like, fathering and mentorship between men and boys, do I think that there's something there to this? For sure. But the way that it's framed is always like putting it on women and pinning it on women. And it's like, well, women are looking for, partners who can provide and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I kind of want to be like, no, they're not. No, we're not.
Well,
Like, we're not.
If you want to get laid, you've got to do this, and that's the goal.
That's like what this feels like. And it's like, well, when women don't have a partner, they spend time with their friends, they go bike riding, they have hobbies. And I'm like, yeah, because we're like, taught from a young age.
Women are going
how
to college
handle
at rates men aren't.
Right.
And yeah.
And we haven't spent our whole existence or the last however many hundreds or thousands of years being told that we're the boss and we're the masters of the universe. And we just find ways to be happy and support ourselves in this world that we're living in right now. No wonder they want to take all of that autonomy away from us. And that is really a big part of that. But Scott Galloway just goes on and on and on about, and he doesn't do it directly. But there's always just kind of like underlying current that it's women's fault. It's women's fault. And because they have these set of standards and you're not meeting them. So it's kind of them too. And
there's a touch of incel
insulting
to it. There's a touch
Yes.
of insult to it. Julie, you were gonna
yeah.
Steve.
What irritates me about all of this is that there is a paradigm where you always pit men against women.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Well said.
and if women are doing well, that means men are feeling lonely.
Correct.
And women. And if men are doing well, it is because women are being held down. And that is how neither side thrives and neither side succeeds. In my nonprofit world, we welcome men into the conversation because we understand that they still control 99%, if not more, of the C-suites and the Fortune 500 and the board, aside from, token women that they have to put on the board. But I mean, typically men still control everything. And so to me, like, we can't change the world without men. And I would say to men who are lonely, who are single, who are despairing of finding somebody, we've all been there. I was there as a woman, right? I mean, Michelle, I'm sure as a woman, you spent time on the couch watching Law and Order and eating, Doritos just like I did, right? Back when we were in our single days. Like it's just, there is in fact a loneliness epidemic in this country that is not good to men.
Correct.
The difference between men and women is that women have, like, I just, I went to my son's graduation today. And I saw all these moms and dads who I haven't seen, and so we don't see each other all that often because our kids are older now. But it was so wonderful to see all of them, and you give them a hug, and you give the men a hug, and you give the women a hug, but the men don't hug each other, right? Like,
that's why they start wars. That's why they start wars. They can touch each other.
There's nothing wrong with me hugging a dad. There's nothing wrong with me hugging a fellow mom, but the dads don't hug each other, and they don't make plans to be like, hey, like with the moms, like I saw a couple of the moms I used to be really, really close to, and our kids would have play dates because they were little. We'd all go to each other's houses. And I was like, hey, let's get together over the summer. I have no idea whether we will or we won't. But the reality is women say this to each other and then they do it.
Mm-hmm.
The dads don't say that to each other. They're not like, hey man, let's go out, let's go to the museum together. Let's go out for drinks together. Like, not sit in a bar and watch the game, but like literally go out and just have dinner together and have conversations. You don't see that all that often.
No, and there's irony in that you have the age of men's clubs where they wouldn't allow women in. There was a time when they did that, but that was a statement of power.
It still exists in New York City.
Yeah,
it does. Well, let me bring it back to media and this, if I may. So the New York Times, this is how our media have treated men this week. The New York Times had one op-ed praising male violence. And this is the context of what's going to happen at the White House on Sunday. And then another op-ed in the Natalist Times talking about how having babies makes for better men. Like that's the reason to have babies. And then, of course, we had the Wall Street Journal running the excerpt from J.D. Vance's autobiography in which he praises Charlie Kirk and says that his death inspired him to get his wife pregnant again. This is the view that our media are putting, our male-run media are putting out about men and women. And these are supposedly the pinnacle of our media.
I also know, I'm like, as an aside, and I cannot say how I know this, but I know that from JD Vance is absolute horseshit, because I knew that was kind of going on before Charlie Kirk died. So like, let's not. I mean, it's such grandstanding and lies. Like, he's such a liar. It's just, again, like it's please, women, have a baby to make your man better, because he can't do it on his own. It's like, make me a sandwich.
What's the rationale that way? That's not
right.
That's not how you do it.
I can't.
Well,
it's just so infuriating.
Yeah, and let me also
get your shit together.
Let me also just say this: the New York Times had those conversations they have their columnists. They had one with Frank Bruni and I think maybe Brett Stevens. I forgot, but I think it was.
Oh God!
And they were talking about Graham Plattner. And whatever your views on Graham Plattner are, and I have many, and I've lost a lot of subscribers on Facebook as a result of my views on Graham Plattner, and to which I say bye-bye, because I will always stand up for women, even if it means criticizing somebody who I don't believe should have been a nominee of the Democratic Party. Now that he is, I think he's better for women overall than Susan Collins. I tremendously resent having to be
That's the horrible choice where we are,
right? I resent having to be put in a position with a gun to my head to make that decision. So but nevertheless, here we are. The way that this conversation in the Times began, on top of all the other op-eds that they have heard, written, and had submitted about how the Me Too movement is over, were these two men, Frank Bruni and Brett Stevens, who, with all due respect to Frank Bruni and Brett Stevens, have never been a woman in the workplace, saying, does this mean that the Me Too is the Me Too movement, is it dead? Is it buried? And
I
asked
not again.
And to the first paragraph, to which one of them asked the question, the other said, dead and buried, it's in a coma, it'll never be resuscitated, like it's over. And I'm like, again,
like, who asked you, and what makes you think
and by this, you're killing it. You're trying to kill it again.
You don't know what's going on. You have no idea what's going on. We came this close to passing an NDA ban in New York State, which I firmly believe will be passing in 2027. This close, which would be a game changer, which, by the way, would help Brett Stevens. I don't think Frank Bruni works here anymore, but if their contracts with the New York Times are based in New York, guess who would benefit, friends? You. Not just women, you. Yep. And you know why? Because of the Me Too movement, because it's the women of the Me Too movement who are doing the work to help you, Frank Bruni. So the day that somebody in the New York Times looks at you and says, hey, Frank Bruni, you're gay, and therefore we're not going to give you what you want, and you say, wait a second, I think I'm not right with that. The NDA they're going to foist on you will be null and void. You know why? Because of the Me Too movement. There you go. Or Brett Stevens, because somebody's going to say to you, hey, Brett Stevens, you're a little too pro-Israel and you're Jewish. And you're going to say, wait a second, I'm really offended by that anti-Semitism. You know who's going to not prevent you from having a gag order? The Me Too movement, us.
I got to ask, is it possible for this to be retroactive or no?
No.
I'm asking for a friend, Julie.
No. Well, I mean, I would hope.
Well, right. I mean,
retroactive in the sense that if you have an NDA, you will no longer be bound by it.
Oh, okay.
Right. So like, if your NDA lasts forever, then, and you know what I mean? Like then it would just break the forever part of it. Right.
Yeah. I mean, you can't go back to, whatever, but the point is, was it retroactive for people who settled their cases like us?
Right.
Fox? Unfortunately not. I wish it were.
Right.
Trust me, nothing would make me happier.
Or people who broke their NDAs and had to pay a bunch of money or got sued, like it wouldn't help them, to time travel. Right.
But your point is absolutely right. It was women who fought who are fighting.
Women who are fighting, and guess who's sitting there grandstanding and bullshitting?
Yeah. It's
Once again,
saw
it's the New York Times editorial board. Once again.
and I saw someone say Bill Maher sucks too. And like, this is again, like a huge talking point from Bill Maher, is always complaining about Me Too, always complaining. I mean, I'm like, why are you complaining about this so much? How is this affecting you, Mr. Maher? The lady doth, protest too much, methinks. Again, like why these men, man, they just sit around and try to mansplain. They're mansplaining our own lived experience to us. And like, to bring it back to the pregnant women and JD Vance and all this nonsense. You know what the number one cause of death for pregnant women? Homicide by their partners. That's the number one cause of death of pregnant women and postpartum is murder by their partners.
And by the way, when Bill Maher receives the Mark Twain Prize at the Kennedy Center, who is going to run the
as of
session?
Today, right?
Louis C.K., Jay Leno, Stephen A. Smith.
Wait, are you serious?
Oh, I'm
That's
serious.
not a joke?
I'm serious.
That's not a joke.
No, it's not.
No, that's for real.
That's for real.
Oh.
Along with Whitney Cummings, Woody Harrelson, John Mellencamp, and this one gets me, Ariana Huffington. Ariana Huffington, when I saw her, pardon me for this, at Davos over the years, she was all Ms. Progressive, Ms. Movement, something. And then when she sold her company, she backed up to sleep is all she cares about. And she abandoned politics, abandoned progressives, abandoned it when the influence she had, and she had influence, was needed most. She ran away from it all. And so she's going to be there for Bill Maher on the stage with Louis C.K.
There's so many people, and there's a reason I'm saying this. There's so many people in this space, it seems as though they just kind of like see which way the wind is blowing. And if the wind is blowing towards, the Bill Maher isms, then if they feel like that's where they can make money and hold on to their power and their business, like that's the way that they'll sway. That's the way they'll go. I mean, obviously we've watched this all happen in the last couple of years, but even more so, smaller media companies, there's chit chat that some of these more independent, smaller, media companies are starting to take money from the bad guys. And I really don't know what to do about that or what to say about that. Because I know, Jeff, you had an example of
last week.
Of
I mentioned that Puck is taking advertising from Dylan Byers' podcast has advertising from Paramount.
Right.
And to some extent, if you have programmatic ads, you don't know who your advertisers are. And so advertisers may come across and you had nothing to do with it.
Right.
In this case, it's a host-read spot by Dylan Byers for Oscar nominations for Paramount products. At the same time, he's covering Paramount. Now, every journalist has conflict. I always tell my students, every source of revenue has conflict, and your job is to manage that conflict with your integrity. So, bad advertisers can appear in lots of places. Mobil Oil supported the op-ed page of the New York Times for decades. So, okay, but it made me uncomfortable, and then you have a new one.
Especially a lot of these, well, and Midas, there was chatter on Substack in the last couple of days that they have been doing advertisement placement for Oracle, which is the Ellisons. And if this is in fact true, which I think it is, this goes against everything that they preach, everything that they, every bit of clickbait that is anti-Trump or anti-Republican, or anti, the man. Where's everybody's line?
Because you've got to ask, why are the Ellisons advertising with Midas?
Yeah, like that, right.
And it's because they're trying to get to people like us. They're trying to get to the progressives.
Yep.
And you've got to ask the question, why? Why are they trying to get to the progressives? Same reason that Charlie Kirk was in the feed of my 13-year-old son.
Yep.
When Turning Point USA would advertise nonstop. Just be aware. That's all we're saying.
And I know like the point of business, I guess, is growth and to keep growing and to keep getting bigger and to keep making more money. But like, I don't know, maybe I'm just a bad capitalist, but I'm just, again, I have to ask the question,
Communist.
right? Where is the line? Where is the line where your values end and your pocketbook begins? And I just, I've walked away from money in my life because of my values and standards of treatment. I know that Julie, you have as well. And, now we're trying to build this thing at Mayday, and we're doing it with basically our own money and all of the hours that we have to give in a day. But I want to say that I'll never compromise my values and my morals to succeed. But I just don't know how some people live with themselves. I don't know.
I mean, Julie, you worked for, I too worked for Murdoch. I was TV critic and TV guide. And it wasn't as venal then, I would like to think. And I never got interference as a TV critic. The only time that I got the slightest hint is when Anthony Disney, who was my boss, editor of TV Guide and later an executive at News Corp, said, "I just want you to know that Rupert really likes Moesha. And if you don't like Moesha, you just better justify it. That's all I'm ever going to tell you." That was the only hint I ever got of interference. I know, wacky.
All the shows, Rupert.
Of all the shows, I liked Moesha.
What? You are bearing the lead of this entire show. Not just today, Jeff, but since the day we started doing this.
There's my brush with fame.
Rupert Murdoch
Like Moesha.
Moesha?
So then I had my first book. What
Brandy? That Moesha?
That Moesha, the TV show, the sitcom, the black sitcom.
Yeah. I know Moesha.
Yeah,
I remember Moesha.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Yeah.
It's just surprising.
It is. So I wrote my first book called What Google Do for Harper Business, which is owned by News Corp. And then my second book, which didn't sell, by the way, but I came along and I pulled the book from News Corp because it had gotten worse and worse and worse. And I said, I can't do this anymore. And I moved it elsewhere. And I'm not saying that everybody has to do something like that, but at some point, you're right, Michelle, I'd already been there, I already worked for them. But at some point I said, okay, time to end it. Time to be done.
Yeah. And somebody actually asked on Substack, Stephen Russell asked, are Mayday and Salty Politics entirely separate? And I said, yes, we are. Two very different, although there's crossover and content and message and whatnot, they are different.
Yeah. And so
Salty's just Julie's thing that she writes by her.
Yeah, Salty I started well before I ever met Michelle.
Yeah.
That's more written stuff. Mayday is all the shows that you see and all the TV. And we do crossover in the sense that if we stream a Mayday show, I'll stream it to my Salty Substack audience just because there's so many of you, which I'm so grateful for. I would ask you that if you are watching this show on Salty Politics, that you go over to Substack and subscribe to the Mayday Network. That is the best thing you can possibly do for us, because eventually we would love to have the Salty audience on video just go straight to this. I don't know why my father keeps FaceTiming me, but that's what
I want to sneak in one more thing, if I may.
Yes, please.
Which will go along with Go Knicks.
Yes.
Go Knicks.
Oh my God. Wait. Oh my God.
Yeah.
We're in orange.
So
I will never get over that for as long as I live. Sorry. I just have to say, I still can't believe it.
It was
crazy.
amazing. I actually, to be honest, I halfway through I said, this is a route. It's too painful. I can't watch.
Did you not see the second
I did
half?
not see it. I've seen it 100 times, no, but I did not see it. No.
My husband and I kid you not. Now, we just have a West Elm couch. It's not like terribly sturdy, but jumping up and down on the couch, like screaming, going, oh my God. And then Joe's like running in circles in the living room. And then we look across the way because the building across the street is like a high rise. So you can, with big windows, you can see into everybody's windows. And we look, and a lot of Columbia students and stuff live there. And we can see everybody jumping around in their apartments. It was just like the greatest New York thing.
So
and
we had the wonderful New York booze Trump. Trump ruins the party on 7th Avenue. Everything gets screwed up. Mamdani shows up, buys the ticket Swift with his own money, does standing room only in Beyond Nosebleed, and the New York Times gives him shit for this. The New York Times says, well, other people couldn't have gotten these tickets, and so he thinks he's a populist. But gee, he got privilege because he had access to the ticket.
Oh my God, I just can't.
It's
No. The best is the New York Post.
oh no, what did they do?
He paid $750 for these tickets, and he said he paid nearly $1,000. And the New York Post gave him shit. They're like, "That's not nearly $1,000. It's $750."
I can't.
Yeah.
Like, meanwhile, Jim Dolan, cancels the party outside the thing. Again, which I will remind people, this guy uses biometric surveillance to find people and fans at his arenas and his theaters.
Not dangerous people, not criminals, people he doesn't like.
No, people who
dare to
something
disagree with
about
him
on the internet. One lady was trying to take her 7-year-old to see the Christmas show at Radio City and banned her because he didn't like her coworker. I mean, it's just craziness. So this guy brings Donald Trump, right? And however you feel about Mom Donnie, I don't care. The fact that he spent $1,000 to sit in the nosebleeds for the NBA Finals is no big deal.
Not 1,000, Michelle. 750.
750. And yes, there was a block of VIP tickets of people, and I'm sure
there always is.
People in government. When you go
when
see
you
the
were
Broadway
in shows, you had tickets to be able to bring people to your shows.
I will tell people in every Broadway show there is one row about 6 or 7 rows back. And it's 6 or 7 rows back. The olds, we've ruined it. And they're house seats, right? And they're usually, I don't know what they are these days, but anywhere from $180 to $200, and significantly cheaper, than all the other seats in that section. But they're for the producers, the cast, the creative, to be able to invite whomever it is that they want. And that's just how it works.
Yes. And how it should work.
It's not a big deal. And also $1,000 to go to that was
and then meanwhile, we're going to have the biggest sporting event in the century. You think I'm talking about World Cup? No. I'm talking about violent, near-naked men getting blood from each other Sunday under lightning. We can only hope.
Oh my God! Please.
That God speaks.
Is anybody going to watch this?
The press, except for the pool. The press is excluded, by the way.
I got an alert today that you can watch it on Paramount streaming.
Of course, yeah. Paramount's the one running it. Yep.
Well, no, because Paramount's sponsoring it.
Yep. Of course, why not? And Dana White and all his nonsense. Again, this is where they're talking about the deep, amount of corruption that is put this on. Of course, Donald Trump for the second year is putting on a multi-million-dollar birthday party that we all have to pay for, and we can only hope Mother Nature has the opportunity here to do the funniest thing.
I don't want to be struck by lightning, but if it's rained out, at least that would be a wonderful thing.
I love it. I was like, thunder, I want it all. Especially 2 days after they took his name off the Kennedy Center. And then I'm going to walk into this and it's just going to be, I looked at the weather report and it is 80% chance of precipitation and thunderstorms starting in the afternoon. Fantastic. I love it. It's great.
So are you going to watch?
I will watch on Twitter via Aaron Rupar. I'm sure one of those will.
Thank you, Aaron. You suffer so we don't have to.
Aaron Rupar and Asen, the two of them, God bless you.
And add in Julia Jeske.
Oh,
yes.
Julia Jeske.
Yes.
I don't know how Julia Jeske even has room to if I
did I brag about this? So I funded her beginning.
I know.
Out of the school, and then the dean who caused me to leave stopped me from funding it. But she by then was sustainable. She's not sustainable. She's not rich.
Yeah.
She's in a tiny apartment. She's eating ramen noodles, but she's devoted herself to watching Fox News. So
I know, and I have to give a tip of the hat to Julia Jeske because I worked at Fox News and I couldn't. There were times when sitting on that couch was too much. And that was just an hour having to actually listen to that shit 24/7. It's crazy. We should have her on the show. We should have.
I will tell you, my pals over at the Daily Show. We talked about this at length because they use Snapstream, which is the same program that Asen and Aaron Rupar use, and it's pricey because you have to pay by the channel. However, Daily Show obviously has access to all of this. And so they have a whole library, a curation of Fox News and other right-wing media clips, but in particular. And so like we would talk about how there's so few people in this space that watch as much right-wing media as we did. Me, not as much anymore, but watching Fox, watching Newsmax, watching Benny Johnson and Ben Shapiro, like you have to be, it's a war room. You have to be watching everything they're doing to make content, obviously, by that. And it's a very, very mentally,
it's a mental sacrifice that these people are making on our behalf to find the worst of it. It's just like the people in third world countries who have to watch crap on Facebook to protect us from that. In a very different way. They are protecting the democracy by exposing it. And more than once on MSNBC, I said that they should have, and we watch Fox News, so you don't have to segment, and maybe maybe why I haven't been on in 3 years, because they didn't like being told that, but they should have done that.
Yeah,
that's why we're here, so we can tell you.
That's right.
What's screwed up.
All right, friends. On that note, thank you to everybody who came and joined us at our unusual time today of 2 p.m. Eastern. Really grateful to you for sticking with us, despite the fact that we are not on the same schedule this week as we typically are. Thank you to Michelle for transforming my office. It will be even nicer once I put some stuff on the walls, and hopefully
we're going to get you a new camera, which I'm going to like.
I know. I can't wear glasses because it's like.
Right, but you will be able to.
Yes. And to Jeff and Michelle, you guys are the best. Thank you for doing this every week. We will see everybody here, I think, next week, right? We're all
I'll be joining you from the island of Long.
Strong Island. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to the U.S. Open. I'm going to Shinnecock for the U.S. Open. I'm very excited.
So whom do we have to thank for no dog barking this time? I love the dogs barking when they do. I love it, but I can see it go to your spine, Julie. So who do we have to thank for watching the dogs right now?
Well, my husband took one of the dogs with him. He decided to get on a Dodge and go to the country. So he's not here. He took one of the dogs, and the little dog, God only knows. I locked her out of this office and then the room attached to this office. I have no idea what's going to be going on when I come out. When I went to go to my son's graduation today, I came back and both my sneakers were chewed up.
Oh no.
Yeah. So they're currently on my shoes, hanging on my feet, but we'll see what other shoes might be missing any part of their.
I'm sorry, Julie. I really am.
Yeah. To Johnny, will there be Saturdays for Sanity tomorrow? There will be. So
there will be, but Michelle, are you coming with me tomorrow?
TBD.
Okay.
TBD.
I have to go down to Princeton, New Jersey tomorrow, with the promised land of Central New Jersey, and Michelle might be coming with me.
Yeah.
I go there regularly. I'm going to be there Monday on the way to Trenton to testify about something.
Are you testifying in Trenton? You're testifying in Trenton?
I'm testifying in Trenton. So Montclair State University got is taking public television back to New Jersey, which is great. The losers in the case are whining about it.
I know. Brenda Flanagan. I know they are.
And going to. So now, as a result, there's a hearing that I'm going to testify at because it's ridiculous.
Well, you got to call me because I probably know the chair of whoever you're testifying in front of.
I would. Yes, I need to do that.
Okay. Okay.
But Princeton is great. Labyrinth Books is really good there, and also Taqueria, the best.
I've never been
on Nassau Street. It's wonderful.
Oh, the promised land, Michelle. Princeton is the best. Princeton, New Jersey, the best.
I've mostly avoided New Jersey for much of my life until I met Julie, and now it's like I can't.
Michelle, yo.
I know, but it's changed my mind.
Okay, all right.
You have to understand my experience of New Jersey, other than going to Millburn to the paper mill playhouse, has been driving from 80 through that part of Pennsylvania to New Jersey back to New York, and that has always just been my. You're like smokestacks and Secaucus and all this stuff. But New Jersey is a much prettier place.
State.
Yeah.
The Jers is the best. And the best part of Central Jersey is where Jeff lives and where I grew up, otherwise known as the Narnia that is Central New Jersey. Okay. On that note, it was so good to see you.
Bye, rest of the world.
Yes. And great to see everybody else. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye, everybody.